Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saur, Darkchylde, and welcome back to Let's Replay Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. Last time, we got started with the third case, which takes place during a rock band concert, the Gavinaires, the name of Prosecutor Gavin's band. And during one of the performances, a special guest of the Gavinaires, Lamoire's bodyguard, was shot, and we heard his final words, saying that his witness was a siren, whatever that meant. And in doing our own little investigation, we did the bad thing that you're supposed to do on an investigation. Don't leave the body after a murder, which is unfortunately what we did. Not long after our investigation was coming close to an end, we find that the body went missing. Where was it? It was set up at the stage on a scissor lift part of the stage. It's raised up high. And with the body was Lamoire's piano player, and now we have him as our client. And there's only one problem with that. He doesn't speak English. He's Virginian, which is gonna prove to be difficult to prove his innocence. Well, only way we're gonna lose is if we don't try. So, let's get on with it. July 9th, 2026, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 3.
Court is now in session for... How do you say that?
Make Toba, Your Honor, the pixie of the Pericchio.
Right, his trial. Well, court is in session.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution is A-OK, Era Judge. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin.
My opening statement, yeah?
No, actually. There was something else I wanted to ask you about.
Yes?
You say you're going to visit someone in the hospital with an incurable disease. What do you say to them?
Eh?
I mean, you wouldn't get well soon, right? You'd only be kicking them when they're down.
What are you talking about?
Actually, I'm going to visit someone who is terminally ill. Right after this trial. The Chief Justice's son.
The Chief Justice?
His son is afflicted with a most terrible disease. He doesn't have long, it seems.
Ah.
So, I thought I'd go pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be in order of the day.
Why don't grown-ups ever just say what's on their mind instead of just pretending?
She's looking at me like, with disgust. Hey! What are you looking at me like that for?
In any case, I'm a bit busy today, so let's wrap this up quickly. Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement, briefly.
You're in luck, Judge. I believe you'll be going on your hospital visit sooner than you think. First, to review the victim of this case. Romain Latouche, age 35. A global manager for diva songstress Lemoire. Cause of death? Blood loss due to being shot with a large caliber revolver. This report has all the details.
The court accepts this into evidence. .45 caliber. That's quite large, isn't it? A direct hit from that could knock a man off his feet.
However, the bullet struck him in his shoulder. The damage to the body was slight. Death was not immediate. Sadly, his blood loss was such that he could not be saved.
I suppose the victim's condition could have been much worse, considering...
Two shots were fired. One shot missed, the other penetrated and passed through the victim's shoulder. Both bullets were found in the wall at the scene. Observe this diagram. This is where the bullets hit.
I see. The court accepts as evidence. If we're talking about a .45 caliber revolver, we must assume that the killer was adept at the weapon's use.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. Weapons that size have a powerful kickback. If, say, the judge tried to fire one, it'd break every bone in his body.
The defense will take more care of choosing examples.
As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage, in a dressing room. This dressing room has only one entrance, this door.
That does seem to be the case, yes.
However, there were witnesses who heard the gunshots.
He's talking about you and Emma, huh?
Yet when the witnesses entered the room, it was empty, save for the victim's body, of course.
But that's impossible!
Exactly. This murderer was impossible. For all but one person.
One person?
That is, of course, the defendant, Mackay Tobite.
Only the defendant could have committed the crime? But how?
It's quite simple. The circumstances of the crime scene make it clear.
Very well. I assume you have testimony to back up this claim. Let the witness please take the stand.
Your name and profession, please.
Emma Sky. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail at the concert from that night.
Emma seems tired somehow.
Security at the concert, you say?
Some security I was. Couldn't even stop a murder.
Now, don't blame yourself. Things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know.
I'm sure that makes her feel much better.
I want to hear about these bigger mistakes.
In any case, because you were on security detail, the crime was quickly discovered. And we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony if you would. Describe the circumstances of that day and her discovery of the crime scene, please.
All right. Murderous circumstances. The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at the prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved in the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I went into the back room, filled with blaring rock music, and found the body. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it.
It was lucky that a detective was the first on the scene.
But the door was the only way out from that room, right? Yeah, pretty much. Then I don't get it. How could they say that Machi did it? Looks like we need a bit more information.
Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination.
The night of the murder, I was on security detail backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. The night of the murder was the night of the concert, yes? That's right. What was the detective doing on security detail, might I ask? If it was only a concert... My thoughts exactly. But orders are orders, even when they come from rock gods. Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, allow me to explain. I smelled something that day, you might say, the stench of conspiracy. That day, at the concert hall. Conspiracy? Well, isn't it obvious? My keys that were stolen that whole morning, no, the whole day was ruined. And it's all because someone stole my keys. I couldn't ride my hog to the show. I couldn't open my guitar case. There he goes again. Isn't it possible he simply misplaced them? Misplaced them? Misplaced items don't just wander into a murder victim's hand on their own.
What's this? Prosecutor Gavin? If your keys were in the victim's hand, that makes you the prime suspect.
Love, slow acting a truck. A truckwinny. He is waiting for you. He's singing something. Does everything with this guy have to be so over the top? The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was like a sailor adrift on the sea of sound. Anyway, I didn't want anything else stolen. So I put the detective with the most time on their hands on the task.
I see. I can accept that.
Well, I can't. And what they...
Please, the testimony.
Only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. We were let in, though.
I don't know about that. I certainly didn't invite you.
I gave the Fraulein special permission to be there. I wanted to see her again.
Oh boy, did you hear that? We're officially involved now.
Gee, great.
Some other hangers-on tried to get backstage, but I drove them off.
So no other outsiders were there then.
And then, at the beginning of the third set, I heard shots.
I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots.
You were the one chatting. I was eating snackoos.
Hey, no snacking in the court!
And you're sure the shots came from Lemoire's room?
Yes, absolutely! Hey, I'm the one being cross-examinating here. Here, this'll keep you quiet.
Thanks. So, how about it, Emma?
We were right there. Hard to be mistaken about that.
Please, either talk or eat, not both at the same time!
Right, so after that, me and Mr. Lawyer there opened the dressing room door. I went into the room filled with blaring rock music and found the body. Rock? Blaring, yes.
When you say rock, are you referring perhaps to this rock and roll music that's so popular these days?
That's right. We went into the dressing room. Music was blaring over the speaker on the wall.
They pipe sound from the stage into the backstage through the speakers. That way people in the back can hear when they're supposed to be on stage.
Did it have to be so loud? You don't listen to the Gavners with your ears. You feel the entire body and soul. I always have backstage monitors at full volume.
When we walked into the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime.
If you could hear that music playing,
then everyone on stage for that hit song has an alibi, including myself.
Anyway, I closed off the scene and started my investigation. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it.
How could you know something like that?
As I said, it was clear from the circumstances. Listen. We know there was only one exit from the room, that door. The small window only opened a tiny crack, and I was standing in front of that door. So, how could the killer have fled the scene? There's only one possibility, the air vent.
Oh. But the air vent was too small. Who could possibly?
Exactly. There's certainly no way you could get through, nor me. The only one who could fit through was a child.
A child?
Remember, access to those rooms are limited. Only those involved with the concert are allowed.
And all of the people involved in the concert. Only one is small enough to be considered a child.
The defendant?
The pixie of the Arpeggio flittered up towards the sky and disappeared from the scene of the crime.
But that's just conjecture!
Oh, there was no other way out of the room. You were there. You should know, Air Forehead.
And there is another vital piece of evidence.
Evidence? What?
Marks were found on the air vent's grill. Traces that it had recently been opened.
Wait, what?
And something else was found quite clearly. The defendant, Mackie Tolbite's fingerprints.
What? What? Order! Order! Order!
The air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints are found on the grill. Well, Air Forehead? What fairy tale does this suggest to you? Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to heaven. And that one is our pixie.
What are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey, I was out whooping up in the audience.
So this was his decisive evidence.
Quite decisive indeed. I believe that's enough of that. The prosecution has a rather convincing case. The only way in and out of this crime scene, he was watched, making the defendant the only one who could possibly leave the scene. Simple and decisive. I believe we've heard quite enough to determine our verdict. Even if I wasn't in a hurry to make a hospital visit.
I'm sure the Chief Justice will appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left a decisive piece of evidence for us. That will have to be enough.
I can't let it... Oh, it can't be over already! Very well. I believe this trial is finished. If the defense has no contradicting evidence...
The prosecution has presented our proof, clear and plain. If you have contradicting evidence, you better be clear and plain.
Apollo! Oh, we've got us. They've got us on the ropes already. We better come up with something quick.
I know! Oh, think! What can get us out of this?
We need evidence or a witness that can prove Maki is innocent beyond a doubt. Without that, well...
Mr. Justice? Do you have contradicting evidence that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you better tell us about it now.
This is it?
And so soon?
If I mess this up, it's all over. The court wants contradicting proof. Let's call a witness. Prosecutor Gavin, you claim that there were no witnesses at the crime scene? Are you absolutely sure?
Absolutely. I swear it on my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-steer hit song, Actroquilline, my love.
There he goes again. That's too bad, because there was a witness.
Ho, really now? But how did you come to possess knowledge the prosecution clearly does not?
Because I am the only one in the world who knows this. What's going on? I just talked to him and now... He's alive? Mr. Latouche, can you hear me?
Cold. So cold. Witness.
You're cold? Don't worry. Hey, you're going to be fine. Help is on the way.
Can't see.
Hang in there, Mr. Latouche. Tell me, who is the witness?
The witness is Siren. What? The victim said this before he died?
Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not.
What do you mean by that?
All we know is that Airport Ed says he said. It's not testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself.
But it's the truth! He said it! I even told you about it! But apparently you ignored me completely!
It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem relevant. Clearly, this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job.
That's enough. Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours, unknown to the prosecution. I hope you're right. Failure carries a stiff penalty.
Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual is called for.
There's no backing out now.
Let's hear the name of your witness, Mr. Justice.
My witness is her.
Lemoire?
Recall Mr. Latouche's last words.
The witness is Siren. The siren? Aha! He means the siren!
That's right. The siren of the ballad, Lemoire. Lemoire was only on stage for the second set. And she had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness!
I see. Well, Prosecutor Gavin?
My claim still stands. There is no witness at this crime.
Very well. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth then, shall we? We will now take a break from Detective Emma Sky's cross-examination. Please allow Lemoire to the witness stand.
Lemoire would say nothing that night of the murder. Not today, though. Today, we'll drag that story out of her no matter what it is.
it is my direct honor to welcome the Siren of the Bell into the courtroom. You are too kind.
Ah, you speak English.
Yes, I can. Though I am not very good. There is much I do not know.
You speak so well. Have you spent time here before?
Actually, I do not know how I came to know my... Actually, I do not know how I came by my knowledge of your language. Nor where I studied it.
What does that mean? She doesn't know. What does she mean she doesn't know?
I too thought to call her as a witness, but I did not. I had a reason, of course.
What's that?
Lemoir suffers from amnesia.
Amnesia?
Lemoir is not my true name. Yet I remember nothing of the time before I was given it. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage.
Wow, she's even more mysterious than I thought.
As loaded singer Lemoir, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her, thanks to her success. Yet, I did not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress.
I see. I care surprisingly little about people's pasts. You have nothing to fear in this court, Lemoir.
Thank you. Yet, there is something I do not understand. I am being called as a witness. What, might I say? No one will tell me anything about what happened. Lemoir, let me be frank. I did not want to ask you to up here to testify. Yet, that young gentleman with the wide forehead over there was adamant that you'd stand. Oh my.
Congratulations, Apollo. You're the bad guy.
Ugh.
Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. If nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. Tell us what you saw the night of the crime.
What I saw. As for what I saw nothing. That night, I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details.
I must say, you sound wonderful just testifying.
I hope he was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying.
There you have it. She saw nothing that night. Now we can only pray that the defense has the sense to admit defeat and refrain from detaining her here longer than need be.
Wow, you just got better, Apollo. Way to go!
Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet.
Lemoir wouldn't talk to me last night of the crime. She must know something, and I've got to find out what. As for what I saw nothing.
But you must have seen something! Mr. Latouche named you!
Mr. Latouche? How can I tell you what I don't know?
Lamoire, he said that you were a witness with his dying words!
I do not know what he might meant him to say, but that night I was invited to sing on stage as I did.
It was a great concert.
You heard me sing? Thank you.
I was hoping to get an autograph later, actually.
Of course.
Mr. Justice, this is a cross-examination. You're out of line. If anyone deserves an autograph here, it's me. The one on my gavel would be nice.
Herr Judge!
What's this?
It's my autograph. Now keep this trial going.
What? Oh, my grandchild will be so happy.
Apparently his grandson is a big fan.
Let us continue, shall we? If you would, Lamoire. Tell us what you did after your stellar performance. I did not return backstage after the second set.
I'm sorry, Lamoire, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, do you not?
Why, that's Lamoire's. She was wearing it for her song.
Care to add that to the testimony, Prosecutor Gavin?
What?
This brooch was found after the murder took place. At the very scene of the crime!
What?
Lamoire, how did your bros get backstage if you did not go back there yourself? And as Prosecutor Gavin had just told us, you had been wearing it during your performance that night.
What is the meaning of this? Lamoire, please explain.
Lamoire?
She's saying English is quite difficult. That trick's not going to work, Herc here.
Your forehead may be large, but you're a lawyer, truly. But you have missed one important fact.
What now?
In fact, at the time of the incident, I went backstage, but only for a moment.
What?
Think back to the moment of the crime. You know whereof I speak.
This is really... Is she really saying all that? What's she talking about, Apollo? Right when the incident attacked... Ah! Is she talking about that?
Watch this room for me. I'll have to go for backup.
Right, understood. You want me to make sure no one comes in, right? Mr. Latouche, can you hear me?
Cold. So cold. Witness.
You're cold? Don't worry. Hey, you're going to be fine. Help is on the way.
The witness. Witness is Siren.
Siren? What could a siren How can a siren witness anything? Yipes! Emma? What was that? Who's there? What's wrong? Emma, did you see anyone just now? Huh? No. I could have sworn I heard a door close. I looked into the room. Just a glance, mind you. So this was when your brooch dropped. That explains that. It does. There was no other time I could have dropped it. But that's ridiculous! Yes, you only looked in for an instant, but you dropped your brooch? Forehead. She has raised a possibility. The only thing that can consider that is evidence.
So she looked in at the scene of the crime.
Actually, I intended to go into the dressing room. I knew nothing of what had happened, of course. But the moment I opened the door, I heard a terrible voice. Her forehead shouting, "Who's there?" no doubt. A horrible voice indeed. Ugh. I closed the door immediately.
Well, that explains the brooch. Let's return to your testimony.
That's too convenient. She's hiding something. Lamore, did you look into the room though? Right? Yes. Testify as to what you saw. Very well, though it was only a briefest of glimpse. When my performance was finished, I went backstage for just a moment. I saw nothing but the late Lettuce. The late Lettuce his body was behind the wall. I saw nothing. The late Lettuce's body was behind the wall. Why is my bracelet reacting to that? Let's check it out. I saw nothing. The late Lettuce's body. I think I gotcha.
Gotcha!
The late Mr. Lettuce's body, you say? Yes. You know something more about Mr. Lettuce's death than you're saying. What? I could see you trying not to remember. But the effort made you swallow. You can't fool my eyes. It is true. It was so terrible after all. Why did Mr. Lettuce have to be so shot? One moment, Lamoire. Yes? What was that you just said? Why did Mr. Lettuce have to be shot? Yes? She was hiding something! I knew it! Lamoire, I'm afraid you haven't realized yet, but your words just now contradict your testimony! How could that be? Take this! Lamore contradicted her own testimony, and I have the evidence to prove it.
Take that!
Tell me, Lamore, how did you know he had been shot?
Well,
Immediately following the incident, a gag order was placed on the scene. This is a document proving that. In your testimony, you told the court, no one told me anything about the incident. Furthermore, you testified that you had seen nothing. Yet you knew that Mr. Latus was shot. How could you have known?
yeah.
Lemoir! You weren't hiding something from this court, I hope.
That sweet song of hers was sounding a little too sweet.
Now I remember. Please, allow me to add to my testimony.
Of course. We all want to know what is the truth.
She looks kind of pale, huh?
She saw something, I know it. Even the victim said so.
I saw the bullet holes in the wall, and Mr. Latus had been shot.
Objection!
Lemoir, they call you, but lies are hardly becoming of such a creature.
A put-down worthy of our prosecutor, Mr. Justice.
Such a put-down are hardly becoming of you, Apollo.
Stop polishing your forehead and start polishing your character, yeah? Come on, can't I be cool for once? Absorb the diaphragm. Lemoir, you looked in from the door, correct?
Yes, that is so.
There are bullet holes in the room, yes. But they were in the wall when the door is open.
Eh?
You see? You merely glanced into the room. You couldn't have seen those bullet holes.
Yeah.
Lemoir?
Yes?
I'm afraid the defense has raised a good point. It appears you have been holding back something.
And I must tell you? I must tell you what it is that I saw.
Yes. The happening in this trial are being recorded. And I'm certain it will be on the news in Virginia. You understand your reputation is at stake. If it falls to you to avoid tarnishing it.
Professionally speaking, I still believe that cross-examining her will yield us absolutely nothing.
But she knows how Mr. Latus died. And he named her as a witness. He must have seen you must have seen something, Lemoir.
Very well. Lemoir, please continue your testimony.
Very well, I shall.
What I saw, part 2.
I was on my way back from the stage on the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. There were 2 shots. I could do nothing to stop it. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But it wasn't Machi. It It was a grown person. I know it was.
So you did witness the crime? And the killer was a grown person, you say?
Ah, this is my first time hearing this, I assure you. Nice play, Air Forehead.
Very well, Mr. Justice. You may begin your cross-examination.
Good going, Apollo. Oh, you were right about Lamoire. What's wrong? You don't look too happy. This whole thing smells fishy. That's what's wrong. It's the fifth statement that smells fishy to me. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But it wasn't Maki. It was a grown person. I know it was.
Hold it!
A grown person? That's a little vague. I am sorry. My skill with your language is lacking, I know.
Certainly you could at least see whether the shooter was male or female.
It was a man. A young man.
And you're sure of that?
Yes, his voice was quite clear. Voice?
Looking at this diagram, it seems the dressing room was quite cluttered. It does seem likely that you wouldn't have had a clear view of the shooter.
As a singer, I rely more on my ears than my eyes. When I hear a voice, I do not forget it. That voice, it was a voice of a man.
So you heard a voice. But wait. Couldn't that have been the victim, Mr. Latouche?
Absolutely not. What? Did I not just say that I do not forget a voice? If that was Mr. Latouche who had spoke, I would have known.
Indeed. So you were at the window, and you heard the shooter's voice. The shooter of a young man.
Apollo, this is a good testimony. That proves it wasn't Maki.
Indeed. If this turns out to be true, it would cast this case in a considerably different light. What is the defense's opinion of this testimony?
I don't know why, but it seems contradictory. Though it pains me to say this, there's something about Lamoire's testimony that rings false. Bravo, Air Forehead. You're colder than I thought. I'm sure you remember what the problem is as well as I do, Gavin. As has been established, no grown man could have passed through the air vent. He could have fled the scene of the crime. He couldn't have fled the scene of the crime. But that means Lamoire has to be lying. I know, and I know it's bad for our case, but I can't shut my eyes to this. Believe me, the idea was tempting. It is as Forehead says. Yet, this is not the only contradiction within her testimony. What's next? What's he talking about? Lamoire, I understand why you would want to protect Maki. Yet remember, you are the siren of the ballad, and lies do not become such a creature.
What does the prosecution mean?
Apollo, what's he talking about? How come one bats an eye when he's... How come no one bats an eye when he says stuff like that? I recall the state of the crime scene quite well. The state of the room? Yes, when the murder took place, that window was closed. I find it hard to believe you could hear a voice through it. What? But I'm sure. Lamoire, I have nothing but the highest regard for your musical scene. But my opinion of you as a witness is somewhat lesser.
Objection!
But she's the only eyewitness we have!
Objection!
So you say. And the victim named her the Siren as the witness. That's right! That's what Mr. Latouche! We heard your claim. We even entertained the possibility. And it brought us to this. Herr Judge.
Yes?
The prosecution requests that the witness is excused. Please.
I'm afraid I must honor the prosecution's request. There is indeed a question of the witness's credibility.
But Lamoire can't testify. But if Lamoire can't testify, then we don't have a chance of proving his innocence.
This cross-examination is over. Prosecutor Gavin, you may continue making your case.
Danke. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. I would like to hear from the Fraulein detective again.
Objection!
Wait, let me hear Lamoire's testimony one last time.
But the cross-examination is already over. Until such a time as a need arises, this witness may leave the stand.
I'm sorry I could not be of more assistance. At last, back to the real trial. Ready, Air Forehead? I hope I didn't just miss my only chance. Fraulein detective, now, how far have we gotten until we were so rudely interrupted? Don't ask me! I dislike seeing the same thing twice. And I never repeat a song for an encore.
If you would, Miss Sky.
I believe I was saying that the only way Mr. Latouche's killer could have escaped was through the air vent in the ceiling.
Ah, yes. There was only one door in the room. And a witness, you, was standing in front of it.
That air vent isn't very big, see? It kind of implies the people who could possibly get through.
I certainly would have a difficult time.
You sure would. Not that you would have been in there in the first place, though. Remember? The whole backstage area was off limits to people not involved with the concert. The only ones who meet the conditions for our killer is the defendant. A ferocious performance. I couldn't have put it better myself.
She does state a clear case, though reading the report, something caught my eye.
Oh? What's that?
The circumstances of the defendant's arrest.
The circumstances? Again? Hey, that's right, Apollo. Remember when we found Maki? That was bizarre. She's right. Why did Mr. Latusse's body disappear from the room and end up on top of that stage tower? Holding a guitar, no less. A prospective observation here, Judge.
Thanks. It was kind of an accident, really. But you work on this job long enough, you get a nose of things.
The judge sure seems pleased with himself. Very good. Fräulein Detective, please, perhaps you could tie it all together for us. Why was the body moved? And how does that lead us to the killer? The missing body. I believe Machi stole the body because of some lyrics. He moved the body to match Lamour's song. No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim, and Machi practically left his signature at the scene. All of the evidence clearly points to the defendant. Lamour's song? Yes, the guitar serenade. You noticed its code too, didn't you not? The code? It's the events that day followed the lyrics to our song. First, the keys to my heart had been held in so tightly where her stolen. Then Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flames on stage. Mr. Latusse's life was taken by a bullet. The rest hardly needs explanation. Guitar, guitar, up together to the sky.
That's mad! It's like a story out of a fairy tale!
I'd admit it. I'd forgotten about the song. But there it is now, waiting for me. The grand finale, as it were. Hey, you know what I was the one who first noticed that.
I've heard of the song Jumping Rope. I've heard of the Jumping Rope to song songs and connecting to songs, but killing?
It's a wild world out there, Air Judge.
Very well. I've heard one song and dance. Let's get on to the next. The cross-examination.
I'm not sure I'm going to be doing much singing. But there's one testimony that bothers me. I believe Machi stole this body because of some lyrics. he moved the body to match Lamor's song. No one in the country had a motive to killing the victim, and Machi practically left his signature there at the scene of the crime. What do you mean by his signature? The bullet holes in the wall, of course. The bullet holes? The revolver was fired twice. One shot missed and left a hole in the wall.
And that means what exactly?
That dressing room isn't exactly spacious. Picture the shooter facing off with the victim in there. They can't have been more than 5 feet apart. It would be difficult, almost impossible to miss at that range.
Difficult to miss, you say?
Very. Assuming the shooter could properly aim.
No, you can't be serious!
Machi, he can't see. That's why he missed. That's the only explanation that makes sense. He used sound and other senses to fire the gun. Poorly.
That reminds me. The monitor in the room was blaring at the time, yeah? Hardly ideal conditions for tracking by sound.
A blind shooter. No wonder he missed.
I knew those bullet holes would make a comeback to haunt me. Think, Justice. What do I do now? Raise an objection. Sure, there were her bullet holes left at the scene in the wall. But that doesn't prove the shooter couldn't see.
Oh, how so?
Well, there could have been a struggle with the victim.
That's certainly possible.
And it might have been the revolver's fault.
The revolver?
The revolver is a very large caliber, correct?
If the shooter wasn't used to flinging such a large weapon, why, it could have dislocated their shoulder.
Exactly. The defendant, Darkchylde, is, as you can see, tiny. It's not so hard to picture him firing a gun and missing entirely. The kickback alone would have thrown off his arm.
A convincing argument, to be sure.
Haha, take that, smug prosecution. Apollo?
Huh? What?
That bit about Maki being tiny? And the gun throwing off his arm? Aren't you kind of, admitting that he did it?
Oh. It does not matter why he missed. What matters is that the shooter was without a doubt the defendant. Even the defense seems to agree on that point.
Yuck! Cripes, I really put my foot in it this time.
But let's get the facts of the matter on record. If you would, Fraulein Detective.
Very well. Witness will add this to her testimony.
Right. From the state of the crime scene, I conclude the shooter was blind.
Objection!
The prosecution holds that the shooter couldn't see. A scientific conclusion based on thorough examination of the crime scene, yes. Apparently not thorough enough. I have a certain piece of evidence that completely overturns your claim. What? This is that evidence.
The photograph of the crime scene?
I don't care much of the smirk on Prosecutor Gavin's face. But this is no time to think twice. Time to press on. Yes, Your Honor, the crime scene. There is something in there that decisively contradicts the prosecution's point. Then perhaps you best show us this something. Get your finger out of the breeze and point it to good use, yeah?
Very well. Show us what you're talking about, Mr. Justice. The contradiction to the crime scene is...
right here.
Take that!
The contradiction is right here. The smeared bloodstains.
I thought it was just my very blurry vision. But it really was blurry. The way the victim's hand is raised above his head, much like a gesture I have seen many times in this court.
It almost as if he wrote something. Aha, I get it. At least I think I get it.
Get what, Fraulein?
When Mr. Latouche was shot, he tried to write something. And what would he write about? Right, but the shooter's name. And would he write it in but his own blood? Pretty good, huh? Thanks for making my point for me. Yes, in fact, that's what I think happened here.
That does seem to be a distinct possibility.
The victim wrote the killer's name? It's certainly a logical conclusion. Drat, I just wish it hadn't been rubbed out like that.
Of course it's rubbed out. Why? If I were a killer, I certainly wouldn't want to leave my own name behind.
Neither would I. No one has anything else to say?
About what?
So the prosecution accepts this? You agree that this was the victim making an attempt to record the name of the killer? And that the killer tried to rub the name out? What's your point? What's my point? Let me ask you this. How did the killer know the victim was writing their name? Well, Mr. Latouche was writing something in blood. Once the killer saw what it was... Wait.
Once he saw what it was?
But what did you just testify about the shooter? I said they were blind. Ah! Yet the crime scene itself contradicts that! The killer had to have been able to see. Why else would they rub about the name in blood otherwise? May I remind the court that the defendant, Maki Tobite, is blind. He couldn't have been the shooter. Impossible!
Prosecutor Gavin, please explain to me what this all means.
A lot of the text went by really fast, so I didn't really catch most of what they said.
I mean, looking at this photo, it seems quite clear that the shooter could see. Yet up until now,
It seems I owe the court an apology. The Gaviniers are a band with law enforcement ties, yet a murder occurred. During our concert, apparently. This caused confusion among jurisdiction. As a result, some reports were not filled in an entirely timely manner. I'm not sure I like the vibe I'm getting here. Hey, Apollo, look at him. Why is Prosecutor Gavin all relaxed and smiling like that? Like he knows something we don't, and he's about to tell us. I've got an idea. Let's rock! With these documents, but before that, I have a question for the Fraulein detective. If I may. What? Tell me, why do you think that Makitoba is blind? Huh? What did you say? What are you saying? Of course he's blind. Of course. He's a blind pianist, right? So he's... Doesn't Lamore lead him around by the hand all the time? No way. I have a report here on the defendant, Makitoba. According to this, Makitoba can see perfectly well. What? His blindness was merely a publicity ploy by those clever Borgians. He can see quite well. But you said... What did I say exactly? Forehead. Not once in the course of this trial have I claimed the defendant was blind. The only one who did was the Fraulein detective. But that's a significant fact, yes. Consider Makitoba sees. And he was the only one who could have fled through the air vent. I see no problems with this. But what about the bullet holes in the wall? Yes, the bullet holes. I believe Air Forehead nearly explains those for us. He couldn't miss because he couldn't see. It was the kickback from the .45 caliber revolver. A simple accident, in other words. How's that? I'm afraid your objection just flown off for a for brighter skies. This is where the real fun begins, Air Forehead. Yeah! I knew you didn't have what it took. You jerk! Just what was I in here for? Her comic relief? Yeah, apologize! Oh, sorry. That's no way to apologize! He's angered the Trucy now. Look out!
Ahem. If we can please end the bickering now.
Whatever, I'm not leaving. I can't leave like this. I'll come up with some clue to solving this case if it kills me.
But your testimony has already given us enough to convict the defendant.
Ugh, don't say that. What? This blood stain. The criminal tried to wipe it off, right? That seems to be what happened, yes. I might be able to find out what was really written there. Really? You can do that? That's right, with this. It's called luminol. Maybe you know of it. It's a chemical that reacts to blood.
Yes. Have we done those tests yet?
Ha! As if I'm going to tell you.
The bloodstains covered a section of the carpet. I ordered to perform blood tests. That section was removed and submitted. Perhaps we should request it here in the court now.
Right. Go for it, Apollo. Huh? I have to do the test? You just have to spray the luminol on it. Simple. Chemical that reacts to blood. I've heard of this somewhere.
Yes, I believe an analysis is called for. Let's have it.
Right, ready? It's easy as pie. Just touch the screen and spray the area. Here, give it a try. The eyes of the entire core are focused on me. Apollo, your hands are shaking. Let's do this. Wow, it really works! This must be the power of the science. It says IPXX 314206. Is that the killer's name?
Maybe it is.
Aha, I have it. So, what is it?
I thought those letters IPXX looked familiar. This is an Interpol ID number.
Interpol? You mean International Police Agency?
Yes. Most are undercover agents working to solve international crimes. But why would he write that number?
Why would Mr. Latouche even know a number like that?
Good show, Fraulein Detective. Rock on! Your Honor, I can verify this number immediately. Darian, are you there? Come up to the witness stand. Darian, you heard what we need. Go check this Interpol ID number.
Sure thing. Give me 30 minutes. No, 27.
I'm not sure what to think of all this. The prosecution's case is airtight, or so it seems. Yet if this number is really that of an Interpol agent...
Oh, wait, I know. What if Maki Telbite really... an undercover... her Interpol agent?
That would be a possibility. A possibility, yes. And one that would mark him as the killer for the victim.
Why did Mr. Latouche, who's know an Interpol number? That's what I want to know.
Well,
We have some time while we wait for Darian's report. Let's work on unraveling another mystery, shall we? A curious mystery concerning Darkchylde. What are you talking about? Fraulein Detective, please accept my apologies. I received word that the defendant could, in fact, see, just before the trial began. It seems too much for the brother to tell, too much of a bother to tell you. You had me until that last bit. Does this not raise a rather straightforward question? Well, sure. Why did Darkchylde pretend he couldn't see? Exactly. It makes little sense. What do you think, Air Forehead? Huh? Me? Darkchylde pretended he was blind. Do you know why? How could he know? Wait, Prosecutor Gavin knows why, doesn't he? He's known from the start of the trial. Oh, he's been leading us on the whole time. Something wrong? Do you think perhaps this is all some kind of game? Now that you mention... Now that the moment I heard that report, I knew why.
I suppose people would have sold over 1 million records. Herds really are something else.
What does that have to do with anything? There was a reason why Darkchylde pretended he was blind. But it wasn't for his own sake. Get the picture now? It wasn't for himself?
Well, Mr. Justice, can you present evidence that shows why the defendant had to feign blindness?
I think I do. Maki had no reason to pretend he couldn't see. Which means... No, it couldn't be! Good show, Air Forehead. It seems you thought of something. Why can't I figure these things out on my own? I hate having to take my clues from this guy. Very well. Look at this. This is why he was pretending he couldn't see.
Take that!
Is this Lemore?
Lemore and Darkchylde. Recall their relationship. In particular, their unique arrangement over the years before visiting our country. Lemore and her pianist. They would always walk together. She'd lead him by hand. Even when they got on stage, she would lead him to the piano. She would walk all the way over there with him. That's right, because he was blind. She led him at all times, never letting go.
At all times?
Yet, we have just learned something that makes their arrangement peculiar indeed. Maki could see. Why did they have to keep up this act the whole time?
Well, wasn't it part of their performance?
I think there's a simpler explanation. Maki did not need to be led by the hand at all. That can only mean one thing. Really? Really? It was all the other way around. The one who needed to be led by the hand was Lamwar.
What's this? So you mean that to say that Lamwar she's...
Yes, Your Honor. Lamwar is blind.
What?
Order! This is crazy! Prosecutor Gavin!
Is it now?
Please shed some sanity into this madness. The defense has made an outrageous claim.
The only thing outrageous I see about the defense is his vast forehead. Yet, I see it is not vast in vain. This time. He's quite correct.
But that makes no sense.
Yeah, wasn't she supposed to be the landscape painter in sound or something?
Well, since we have her here, why not ask Lamwar herself? I believe she is still in the witness waiting room.
Apollo, what does this mean for our case?
Don't ask me. I had no idea she couldn't see. I hadn't even imagined it until now.
Bailiff, bring in Lamwar.
Lamwar? It pains me deeply to call you before us again in this way, and yet I must.
Please, do not be concerned on my behalf.
Those eyes. She really can't see? Really?
It is true. How funny it is that a tiny little lie born in the Virginia countryside would one day grow to entangle an entire world.
So you are...
Yes, as I mentioned before, I have no memory of the time before I became Lamwar. Know too that my memories begin with darkness. The word light has no meaning for Lamwar.
I see.
You may recall me saying something towards the beginning of this trial, Forehead. What's that?
I believe I said that it was unfortunate this crime had no direct witness.
Ah.
Now, Lamwar, I must ask you to stand once more. Will you testify to the court about your eyes?
Of course. It was never my intent to deceive any of you.
May I begin, Your Honor?
Yes, of course. Though I admit, I'm a little lost here.
I think we're all a bit lost here, Your Honor.
Lamwar's eyes. I have no memory of the light. I debuted in a world of darkness and sound. My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others.
But this is a murder trial.
I apologize. It was part of my contract, you see. I was to keep my blindness a secret, no matter what. Music is everything for me. I never imagined something like this would. She told us the truth from the beginning.
She said she saw nothing.
Very well. Does the defense have anything to add?
I'd like to cross-examine. But what is there left to ask? There was one thing in her testimony that bothered me. Perhaps it is best we let you get it out of your system. Someday you'll come to understand the importance of thinking for yourself.
Very well. The defense may proceed. However, be aware this court will not tolerate any questions deemed too stressful for the witness.
Okay. There was only one part that bothered me. Just let me ask about that, and I'll be happy. I have no memory of the light. I debuted in the world of darkness and sound. My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, so of course no one others. When you say your staff, do you mean Mr. Latouche? Of course, he was my manager. So he knew. And that's what's been bugging me.
Something the matter, Mr. Justice?
I believe I know what is bothering our young defense attorney. You are thinking when you discovered the body, yes? Is he right, Apollo? Yes, I was. He's alive? Mr. Latouche, can you hear me?
Cold. So cold. Witness.
You're cold? Don't worry. You're going to be fine. Help is on the way.
Can't see.
Hang in there, Mr. Latouche. Tell me, who was the witness?
The witness is Siren.
Mr. Latouche told me to ask the witness, and he named you. Why would he do that? He knew you were blind. I do not know. What did I just say? You need to learn to think for yourself. Meaning what? There is no mystery here if you recall everything he said. Think of his last words once more.
Witness. Siren. I've heard them many times along with a little play acting by our defense.
I remember them well myself, but that statement is not what I refer. What I meant was what he said before that. Before? What came before? Ah! That's right. He tried to tell you. When he said can't see, he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the witness.
I see.
Too bad the defense did not. Well, Air Ed, try relaxing and looking at the facts first next time. Ugh.
Order! Order!
Recall Lamwar's earlier testimony.
I was on my way back from... I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There were only 2 shots. But I couldn't do anything to stop it.
But she couldn't have heard those gunshots. I thought we proved that.
That is not the most important point, dear. The moment he was shot, Mr. Latouche witnessed her through the window. Why else would he have named her as the witness? Ah. But I really did hear him. 2 gunshots. And the man's voice. Unfortunately, such a thing was impossible. The window was closed. We have already run a simulation, of course. But it was so clear. If I had heard that voice again, I would know it in an instant.
Your Honor. What is it, bailiff? Can't you see we're in session here?
We have the results back from the investigation.
The investigation?
Ah, the Interpol number that Mr. Latouche left us.
Well, let's hear it. We will continue this cross-examination afterwards. Detective Crescent, and your report, please.
I asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing. Quick work as always, Darien.
Well, tell us about that number. Is the defendant a secret agent?
IPXX X314206. The agent registered was Romain Latouche. What? Our Interpol agent was Mr. Latouche himself. He was apparently in the middle of an operation. So, when he wrote those letters, he was trying to tell us his own identity. And a cautious killer tried to wipe them away. Mr. Latouche was an undercover Interpol agent? So, him being Memoir's manager was just a cover, most likely. There's one other important detail I found. Well, out with it. It concerns that .45 caliber revolver, the murder weapon. Apparently, it belonged to Mr. Latouche. He had an Interpol permit to carry firearms. And the registration number on the revolver matched. So the victim was killed with his own weapon, which makes sense. It's hard to imagine someone who wasn't an Interpol agent with such a large revolver. So the victim was an Interpol agent on an undercover op? I wonder how that ties into everything. It's got to tie in somehow, don't you think? Yeah, somehow.
Thank you for looking into that, Detective Crescent. It's a great help.
Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out. Wait!
Lamore? Is something the matter?
That voice just now. Darien? Mr. Darien, is it? It was him. I'm sure of it.
It was him?
You aren't saying... That voice I heard, talking to Mr. Latouche, when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darien.
This is some kind of joke!
What? No way. The courtroom fell in such a chaotic state, the trial had to be suspended temporarily. I'd never seen that happen before. Of course, it's not every day that you get an accusation like that one. Lemoir, fingering Darien Crescent. Not only is he a guitarist, he's a detective! Could it really have been his voice Lemoir heard? Things are changing fast. Yes, and frankly, I wasn't sure I could keep up with it. Hey, no whipping out now, Apollo! And the plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back next time and let's replay Apollo Justice, we'll do more investigation to get to the bottom of this. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and would love to see more. If you do, hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment if you want, ring that bell to be notified when our next video comes out. We do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally Saturday and Sundays. All of this helps my channel to grow so you can get more videos to enjoy. Till the next video, this is Saur Darkchylde, signing off. Have a good night, folks.